As voters in the United States wrestle with the issue of gay marriage, here in Australia it's 40 years since Dr. George Duncan drowned in Adelaide's River Torrens. George Duncan was a gay law lecturer. His death provoked outrage and led to the decriminalisation of homosexuality in South Australia. The case remains an unsolved murder, and the anniversary is being used to draw attention to levels of discrimination which exist today. Ian Hunter is South Australia's Minister for Communities and Social Inclusion, and he joins me now from the banks of the River Torrens at the University of Adelaide. So, Ian Hunter, can you first remind us what happened there 40 years ago?
Well, 40 long years ago, Dr. Duncan was thrown in the river by persons unknown. All the allegations were made that it was done by members of the Vice Squad in the Police Force of South Australia. Subsequent investigations ensued, but nobody was brought to justice.
And how did his death lead to homosexuality no longer being a crime in South Australia?
Well, there were attempts to decriminalise homosexuality prior to Dr. Duncan's death, but I guess his death lit the spark of community outrage very broadly across the state and allowed the Dunstan government and the crusading Attorney General Peter Duncan to push the legislation through both houses of Parliament.
How did the strong suspicion that the police were involved in his death in some way, how did that change the public's attitude towards what happened?
Well, considerably. There were allegations that this was a regular activity conducted by the police, throwing poofters into the river. Unfortunately, Dr. Duncan had half a lung and couldn't survive that attempt, and he drowned. And when that was brought to light, the community in South Australia just said they'd had enough. Something had to be done about this, and the government acted.
And does this anniversary have a significance for you personally?
Well, I was 12 years old when Dr. Duncan died. I was 15 years old when the Dunstan Labor government decriminalised homosexuality, and that had a massive impact on my life because growing up as a young gay kid, I really faced a life of being a criminal. And until the Labor government changed that law, the first time in the country, I really had no other hopes other than leaving the country. It made a big impact on my life and a big impact on the whole gay community here in Adelaide.
Ian Hunter, thank you for talking to us.
Thanks, Ros.